Boom. We are live, guys. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Like always, we bring all the best riders we have on the world. Today, we have one of the special ones. One of the guys is putting everybody crazy, and is the his name is Ruxx is always doing stuff for us. He comes from downhill, and now today he's using the electro mountain boards, and he's pushing the other riders around the world to go to. If they want to win, you have to go against him, and that is very good to have like Mario, like most of the guys uh, having a little work, and is not making the life easy for them. Thank you so much for coming, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out and getting this all set together. And I'm happy to be here.
We
Happy
made
to
it, huh?
talk. Yeah. Yeah. I know we had some different schedule issues in the past, but we're here and yeah, we get to talk and get
The
everything out of
important thing, we are here, my friend, and like I always tell, we are in X or Twitter, we are in YouTube and in Facebook. Everybody can share it. Is not paid. You don't have no problems. That is just information for us to talk about riders and to know each other. So first of all, a little presentation from you. How do you start? What is your background? What was the first thing you start to do? Was direct downhill? How do you start it? Tell us a little more about you.
Yeah, so for me, I started. I'm trying to remember exactly when it was, but I was probably like 12 years old, and I bought my first skateboard, and it was a blind skateboard. It was like a 775 double kick, just like something you can ride at the skate park, something you can practice street skating with. Like the typical what most people
Hmm.
would call a regular skateboard nowadays. So that was my very first start. I remember buying the board. My sister bought it for me, and tried it out, and practiced, try to learn how to ollie and how to ride the board basically. And I learned a few different things, learned some tricks, learned how to ride, basically how to skate a little bit. Uh, but it just didn't really click for me. It wasn't really that fun, and it wasn't until I tried out one of my friend's boards, and he had a sector 9 like cruiser board, just single kick, and it's just designed for just cruising around and having fun. Uh, Basically, most people see is today is surf skate, and that's what I got into. That was my very first real start, and my I won't forget this time, but I remember my friends lived in Newport Beach and in California, and they repaved the whole neighborhood. And I remember I borrowed my friend's board and I went riding by myself just around the neighborhood, and they just paved the roads. It's all brand new, and I just remember how smooth and how fast it was, and just at that moment it clicked, and
Till today.
what's that?
But till today.
Till today, yeah. So then I basically learned, how to ride around. I got into sliding, basically with like you'd see in the movie like Lords of Dogtown,
Hmm.
and that was the style back in like the 60s and 70s. And no gloves, no gear. You're just pitching the board sideways, sliding. And I started doing that, and then I eventually got a sector 9 bamboo pintail longboard. Did parking garages, did some small hills, and then I actually moved to Wisconsin, and that was in 2009, the end of 2009. And then eventually got my boards because I didn't have my boards right away. Got my boards shipped over there, and then I saw some videos of some people sliding, and so I was just thinking, well, that's the next step. Like if I'm gonna ride a board, and if I plan to do something else, I've been sliding without gloves, so I'm like, well, let me make some slide gloves. So I made some slide gloves and started to learn how to slide, watch videos, started to do bigger hills, basically. And I saw that a lot of pros were racing and learning, or not learning, but I was learning and following kind of what they were doing, learning how to stop and slow down. And basically, from 2010 is when I really got into downhill, in Wisconsin, of all places. The area I lived in was really unique, so there was bluffs everywhere, and so they were just short hills, short and fast. And then I met up with different guys that skated, and you know, had a few different groups that I skated with, and started doing races in 2012. So 2012, yeah, so got into racing, got into downhill um, competitions basically, because usually in downhill there's slide jams and there's racing. In electric, there isn't such a thing as a slide jam. It doesn't exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I got into free riding, which corresponds to like slide jams, and then downhill it corresponds to racing, which is just downhill racing. And so I got into a little bit of both, but mainly racing, and then did that for a number of years. 2014, I ended up moving to Oregon with the crew, and that's what you'll see here. That's in Oregon. That's a closed road that we have, and I skated with the crew that I basically met in Wisconsin. We all traveled together, and all decided to move to one location, and it was Southern Oregon. And uh, we all eventually got a big house. We turned it into like a 6 bedroom. It was a 4 bedroom, turned into six, and then it was a skate house. So
Mm-hmm.
we housed a lot of people from all over the world, from the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, um, different parts of the US. A lot of skaters came in to just skate in the West Coast, and we were right off the I-5 in between San Francisco and Portland. So it was a really good spot. So I skated with my crew out there, and and after that, though, some things didn't work out, and I eventually moved back to California, Southern California, and basically in 2020 is when I got a job, and I actually worked as a tech at Evolve Skateboards for over a year, and that's when I really got into electric skateboarding. But I do want to know
Before,
that I had actually tried. Oh, go ahead.
but before we go to the electro skateboard, I think it's important. Lots of people, I think, they don't understand what is the downhill world and the
Sure.
skate world. That is lots of different things. That there's lots of groups, lots of people. Who has different styles. First of all, my first question I think is important for most of the people are here. You coming from the skateboard, going to the downhill world first before you go to electric. How was the
Sure.
change for you of people's? Because downhill is not for everybody. Downhill you
Yeah,
have to have is just for special people who love to do that because it's not easy. Is one of the things that you go to your limits, and most of the times you pass your limits, and you just have to think that you have to have a guy on your back that you can trust to film you, and you have to have a team of guys riding with you together with you that you can trust,
definitely.
because you guys change a lot. Lots of people don't know how it's downhill. Is one guy pushing to the other guy, and they are passing most of the time one each other. And how can you describe the difference from coming from skateboard that you as you start as skateboard and then you coming to downhill for the people maybe want to start to go to from skateboard to
Sure.
downhill, because I think it's one of the best sports is downhill. I think it's
Thank
where
you.
you get most skills. Like if you want to go to a race as electric, that's why I want to put the electric later on.
Sure. Yeah, we could definitely talk about that later. I really appreciate you emphasizing on that. A lot of people kind of don't maybe pay attention to it or as interested. Uh, yeah, I think there's a few good points that you mentioned, and yeah, you do need a crew. Like downhill is different in the sense that it's not only really dangerous, but you have to go out sort of like in the wild to do it. Like a lot of times, you have to go to mountain roads. You have to go to these locations that you're sharing the road with cars, and a lot of times these roads are really windy, and they have cliffs, they have guardrails, and you're going at high speed. So skating them alone is dangerous. And
It's
in addition to that, like they're huge mountain roads, so hiking up can take you 30 minutes to an hour plus. So you need a
mhm,
car to get to the bottom or get to the top
mhm,
after you go down to the bottom. So yeah, so you need a crew for safety. You need a crew to actually get enough runs in,
And
and
you
of
need a
course,
crew that you can go together downhill
yeah,
that you can trust.
exactly,
Because
exactly.
if you don't have, if you are racing against guys that they has no experience, you are putting your life in dangers. That is
Sure.
a big problem, because you are taking speeds that the people don't know what is the
Yeah.
speeds of you guys, and you guys go to speeds that lots of people don't imagine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've gone up to about 60 miles an hour. Generally, though, it's like 50 plus. 60 is really hard to hit. You have to
Yeah.
have the right hill, the right technique. Yeah, it's hitting hitting speeds of 60, even 70. I haven't hit that. I haven't hit 70 or anything like that. You need to. There's only a few hills, really a handful of hills that go that fast. Um,
My friend, I see some
yeah,
videos of you.
Colorado's got some really crazy hills that go that
I,
fast.
I, I, I see some videos from you, my friend, and you push it a lot.
Thank
You
you.
push it, and you have good guys with you. And I'm very proud to have you today in the world of
Thank you.
skateboards. I think everybody is doing this races. Was I was We was talking in private about that, and I told you I think is one of the important things is to have persons with experience from different categories, and you coming from downhill and having this speeds and have this control, because everybody thinks is like this. Everybody thinks that it's easy to go to 60 miles or 50 miles an hour. That is not easy. That is lots of
That's not
training.
easy. Yeah. Sometimes I'll hear people say, kind of funny stories of them when they would go fast back in the day, like older dudes or just people who have stories to tell, and they'll say speeds like that, and it's when you actually go those speeds, it's a lot of practice, a lot of training. Uh, Refining your tuck is really important, and that's one of the things in downhill because we don't have motors.
Hmm.
You really have to focus on how aerodynamic your whole body is, from the things that you wear, but also just your positioning. So in electric, you can get away with it. You don't have to really do that because you have
Hmm.
motors that can compensate for it. Until we start getting to
And
higher and higher
brakes.
speeds, yeah, and brakes. But yeah, we're also not seeing speeds of 60 plus miles an hour for minutes at a time in electric just yet. And if we did, then tucking becomes more and more important. And taking that from downhill really helps because it's a set of muscles that you got to use and everything. But yeah, kind of going back again to what you were saying about the crew and
Hmm.
everything, and experience of riders. You basically, I mean, for me anyway, I got to learn with people at the same kind of rate that they were learning it. So we all like learned together, and it was such a great experience um, because we're kind of like
Do you think?
discovering the
Do
things
you think
together.
that is one pushing for the other?
Yeah, so like we push each other basically, and so like around in 2010, like when I really got started, and 2010 and 2014 was really big progression for me. And being in close proximity with other riders, like bump drafting, like you're actually
Hmm.
pressing up against other riders,
Hmm.
and you're feeling the draft, and that's something it's such a fun experience. When you're in downhill, you don't have motors, so everything's more sort of quiet. There's none of this vibration. And when you get sucked into a draft behind somebody, it's such a fun experience because you get sucked in and then you come in to pass, and it's really helpful to have that skill because in electric we're going to see more and more of that um, with higher
I just
speeds.
went. That is just a small video that I have from him. Everything you see here is everything from him. Here you just see a little. Okay, that is from the interview. But if you see the second video is now is doing alone, and then the next video you seeing the exchange from one to another. Here, there is 4 or 5 guys here in this video, maybe
Yeah,
four.
so that's the old crew I used to skate with, and that's actually in, let's see, I think it's in
But
Wisconsin.
the question is like this, my friend. Riding is already difficult, and then you going from riding to have a camera in your hand
Yeah.
is not easy.
It's
It's
not. Yeah,
something.
it takes a lot of practice, and that's where having a crew is really important because you got to spend the time to get in tune with the other guys that you're riding with. It's you pick up on their body language, you pick up on their style, you know what they're gonna do. And downhill, because once you start getting really comfortable with the crew that you're riding, or even with other guys that are similarly skilled, you start to go about the same speed, and then it's sort of like you're in this kind of position where it's hard to explain, but the speed differences are not that big because you're all kind of traveling together, and and so passing off things is it's a little easier when everyone's kind of going at the same speed.
My friend, I was looking to you riding the electro skateboards with no shoes, and I think that is funny.
Yeah,
It's just, it's just
you
having.
gotta have some fun every once in a while. Yeah, that shot you're showing right there is in Oregon, so that's a really fun hill. It actually goes to the top of um
I know
of
there is a big race
skiing
here in
hill,
Europe, in
snowboarding.
Russia. Every year is a downhill, and you do the downhill with no motors, and then you can do the uphill. That David, the guys from David was in the event again racing this year from Denmark, and
Cool.
yeah, and he goes there. That's in Russian, and then you can do electric uphill, and
Nice. Yeah,
it's cool to see the guys with no motors doing downhill, and then you can do uphill with the motors. Is
that's
another
really cool.
style of doing, and that way
I'll have
you
to check that
can make
out.
the two sports together, and I think that is nice for us
Yeah,
to have it.
I think that'd be cool. I
So
think it'd be really cool to incorporate that for future races, even in the US. That's an
mhm.
event I'll have to take a look at. What is it called?
I share the links with you, my friend.
Okay, cool.
I have to see it because that is a Russian name. I'm never going
Sure.
to. I cannot. But I think it's very nice. I know that David goes there. One of the videos I made the interview, and he showed me. He put the video with his doing with his board uphill, and it
That's
was a
cool.
very nice video. And it's something innovation for all of us.
Yeah, totally.
That and then I have this question. Then you come to the world of electric. You see lots of change. What was the first of all? What was the motivation for you to come to electric? Who was the person with? How do you find yourself with electric? That was yourself. Somebody invite you. How do you came to the world of electric? Coming from downhill and then with no motors, and I know that you make snowboard because I see the videos with you and Mario and everything.
Yeah, board sports. Yeah, it's fun.
How can you how do you find the electro sport then coming to this small box of you
Yeah, so
skateboarding?
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I mean, where I live right now, I live in Costa Mesa currently, but I grew up around here, and it's just there's surfing, there's snowboarding, skateboarding is just everywhere. It's really in the culture, so it's you kind of feel it. And getting into electric actually started before I got into downhill. That's one thing I wanted
Yeah.
to really
Oh.
specifically point out because people think that, and this is my first time on electric board was maybe so many years ago, a couple years ago, but my first time on electric skateboard was I think I don't even have the exact date, but it's probably around 2007 2008,
Okay.
and this was during the time when the remotes
2007.
had a wire directly connected to
Yeah,
the board.
yeah, yeah,
They weren't
yeah, yeah, I
wireless.
know.
Yeah, so a friend of mine, the friends that I lived with or hung out with, basically lived there because I was there all the time. But in
Mm-hmm.
Newport Beach, their dad, he was a surfer, motocross, everything. So
Mm-hmm.
he bought an electric skateboard, and so we were skating around at the time. So we're like, hey, look, he bought a board and we're using it. So we took it around and tried it out. But the board was sketchy. I mean, like the brakes are super hard to like use, and it would basically make you want to jump off the board. And if the wire were to disconnect, they would just lock the brakes and everything. So riding the board was sketchy, and so we didn't really like it that much. But we did ride it around once in a while. But it's just the tech wasn't there. It wasn't, like it is today. It wasn't smooth and refined.
It's not easy to find guys who came from the beginning of the electro skating,
Yeah,
because the battery was bigger than the board.
yeah. The boards are heavy. I think they were nickel metal hydride too. So they
Yeah,
were like
and just
lithium
one
batteries.
motor. In the
Yeah,
beginning, just one
one
motor.
big motor. Yeah, they're like tanks. I mean, I remember having to pick it up. I was in high school, but just I got to use like all my strength to like pick it up and take it down the stairs just to ride it, and not convenient like they are today. But yeah, I mean, we rode it around. It was funny because because it was so sketchy to ride, what we would do is just have our friend like lay on it, and then we would
Hmm.
just grab onto his legs and then just skitch off the board while we're sitting on our boards, and we do that down the boardwalk. It was pretty funny. Um, so we just used it like that for a little while. But we did skate it, and it just. But the thing is, like, there was no scene, there was nothing really around to really, make a whole lot of sense out of it. And
Ooh, that was big, my friend. I'm
what's
seeing
up?
here something here. I just want to show you.
Yeah, that's when I tore my ACL.
That is one of the old ones from you. I'm
Yeah,
just seeing because I have a big question for you that lots of people ask me before the interview. What is the name of the helm that you use, my friend?
it's an X Games bell. So
It's like very special and unique. We
yeah,
don't see
because
it.
I made
Oh,
it, I designed it
uh-huh.
with it. I mean, I modified it really. So it's a X Games by Bell, and I painted it, and I do the visors. So I do the visors myself. I make the visors. So I've
It's
been doing that
very,
for
very,
like a
very, very,
decade.
very. Lots of people. I asked him where he bought it. I think I said so in the videos. What I see from him, so from lots of years, he already has this helm, and I think you're not going to find it. But I'm going to ask you. But you are a person who do lots of sports. First of all, I'm just sharing some
Cool.
pictures and some videos from his Instagram. If you guys, I'm going to leave his the Instagram, Facebook from him, and there is here some stuff that you can see from him. I think that way is easier for you guys to see more and more stuff. And is one of the crazy riders and complete riders because he has all the skills, because he has a big background and he ride with crazy riders. I think the best riders. This year we was seeing how is the evolution coming from the electro mountain boards, and seeing you there and seeing so much good riders having a nice competition. 2023 was very uh very very strong for the riders. I was seeing the competition is coming bigger and bigger.
Amazing.
How do you see yourself that you are now in this world? How do you see the future? Like a SkateCon now decided this year just to make with skates and not putting any more other electro PVs in a race. How do you see the world of electro skating coming bigger every year? Do you think that we in the future we're going to see lots of events of electro races of electro skateboards or
Yeah,
mountain board?
yeah, I do think that's gonna happen. It's already happening. With ESkateCon, their decision to go with just electric skateboards, I totally respect their decision. In a lot of ways, it makes sense, but it really is a convention, as they mentioned themselves. So, sticking
But
true to
don't you think? But don't you think? Don't you think? Sorry, is not disagreeing. I ride the AUC. I ride one wheel too, but don't you see that is lots of events out there like for just for AUCs and one
yeah,
wheels as lots of events? Why we cannot have just an event for? I think that was made for boards
yeah,
event. The
yeah,
name has everything.
yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's why I
Skate.
agree with it. I mean, yeah. So I think it's fine to have events where it's mixed, to have events that's exclusive. I think that's totally fair, and I mean, moving forward, I do think skateboards have a really good shot because in popularity as it continues to grow, because skateboarding culture is really big in the U.S. And it's becoming big all around the world. Something
But
about
putting,
people on boards, people like the way it looks, they like the style, from
but
snowboards to surfing to even wakeboarding to what we're doing
mhm.
here.
But you have to think like us. We're going to talk about USA, Europe. You
Hmm.
have the summer, you have the winter, you have snowboarding, you have skateboarding. You can do most of the stuff there. You can do like us. Is the winter here? We use the snowboard, so it's a big combination of styles
Yeah,
for us to have the same. Uh,
right.
uh, but it's like this. For 3 years I was not seeing nothing. It was just us riding you groups of Facebook, just us having
Hmm.
a nice. I was seeing Mario and the guys just having uh, 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 in this park, small park, before having every Sunday just this races with some of the crews and everything. Today we see that they change for other places to train, and now they make it races. Now you have the
Hmm.
so much stuff. And then I see Europe now.
Hmm.
Before, no events, and now everybody's trying to create events and races to
Hmm.
go there. We see this year some guys of Europe was very good there in a
Yeah,
skatecon.
definitely.
Uh,
Yeah, there's
okay,
there's representation from all over the world.
uh-huh.
I think
And I think,
electric, yeah,
yeah, please.
electric is exploding right now. Yeah.
But not first of all, I'm a big fan from downhill with no
Hmm.
motors. I think is one of the best sports of balance, that you have to have all the skills. But then you have this electric races. We see now
Hmm.
Mipo making this not so expensive board that you can have a machine
Oh,
to race, and you can
mhm.
start later on, you can go bigger. But
Right, right.
seeing now that they come together and putting the possibility for more races to come. There is in China lots of races, lots of people don't know. In China there is lots of races of skateboards, and they're pushing. Don't you think, you as a rider, you as a guy who goes to competition, don't you like to see in the next years, seeing this electro sport being around the world, that maybe you have the possibility to go and ride like in Australia or
Yeah,
in Europe,
totally.
and pushing this sport maybe in other direction. But because today the machines, I think they are already good speeds, and you have well, like trucks are good for you to have a little more safety for the speeds that you take, because we have to always be careful because of the bubbles. Because if you go to a big speed, we see there is a big accident for Mario coming downhill in one of the events, that you see that he has bubbles and he lose the control, and and you see most of you guys sometimes fall, and the falls are very bad. It's not easy.
Sure.
uh,
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
uh,
I
you
think
don't have no.
Mario's fall, if I'm not mistaken, this might have been at the track at ABS, and the track conditions had a big pothole. Like it
Mhm.
was track
The
conditions were
accident, what I
perfect.
have from him is,
Yeah.
when I made the interview, is this: when they go. I think I have a video here from you guys. I think is this one. Let's put it here. I don't know what is the name, but it was coming downhill, and
Okay.
let me just change. I think it was in this place.
Oh, that one. Okay, that's Maryhill. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That it was
Um,
coming downhill, and you see in a camera that he has the accident, and you see the back was like, you don't have no chance, my friend. But these bubbles, I was with my last accident. I uh, I
mhm.
have my accident, and the back, when they when the back starts to
Yeah,
fly,
I know.
or you
Yeah.
have luck, or you have, like I told you, have a background of downhill.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's why I make this question. You as a downhiller, you have the tires very small, you can change the brakes, you can brake in these big boards with these big tires, you have these race tires. When you are like close to a curve, and you need to brake and you don't have the brakes, do you have any chance with this boards to do like the same like you do with the downhill board?
Not really the way it's set up. No. Our best shot if we didn't have brakes. I mean, we can slide it if we really need to, and sometimes we actually do just because we're going so fast and the right kind of track conditions. But yeah, I mean, we can slide if we really have to, but it just really depends. You kind of have to set up for it. It's just not something that we typically do. I think
Yeah,
Redbeard when he was
I'm just asking because when you have the street tires, it's easy for you to slide it. But when you have these gummy tires, that you have a big, I have the pleasure to see from David. Never
Mhm.
see, and from Victor, a guy from France, and I was like, wow, this is big, huh? That is we
Yeah,
just see in the videos, and we don't. I never imagined that was so big. The tires,
yeah, the
the
tires
tire
are
hub.
pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say earlier is that Redbeard, I mean, he's kind of out of the scene right now,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a guy that was really pushing the boundaries on drifting aboard. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we still like everyone basically drifts the board to some extent or another, whether it's intentional or just the back two wheels. But we haven't really fully developed the style where we're actually fully drifting. Um, and I don't know, it's one of those things where it may not really pay off to have it because ideally, I mean, it's kind of like looking at like a lot of other car racing. You know, cars and F1 aren't like drifting to get around turns in particular. They're trying to grip as much as they can, but they're sitting between both. But I do think it's good to practice it because in case you do drift, you want to be able to control that to the point where you drift up again. So that's where downhill does help me. It just not only for the positioning, but if my wheels do slide, I can I could basically be more prepared to handle that. And it actually happened at one of the races in ABS, race and ride. Uh, on one of the, I think it was the third turn. I think there's footage of it. I basically come in toe side and I just drift the whole beginning part of the turn, and I grip up right in the center, the apex, pretty much, and I take like a really nice line. And it's like, hey, well, that works out for me. It wasn't intentional, but downhill
This
wise,
is
it comes
good.
in handy. So it doesn't always happen that way, but it's one thing where I think in the future we could see more and more of that. We're actually practicing sliding, just because it's a good skill to have. And if you're going so fast, you never know. Because the thing is, sometimes track conditions aren't that grippy, and it might be, it could be more advantageous if you do slide a turn. So, but it's difficult. It's really difficult to kind of pinpoint like what's the best strategy. I think in electric, it's so many different things are experimental from the boards, but to technique because in downhill it's a lot more refined. There's pretty much like a method that you go for, and it's changed over the years, but it's not as crazy as it is in electric right now because you got guys that can just stand up. They can stand up and take turns and not even have to put a hand down. And a lot of times it's proven to be faster. But it's debatable sometimes because sometimes it's neck and neck. Sometimes there's situations where it's like, okay, putting a puck down and stabilizing yourself or leaning into the turn that way could be faster. But yeah, it's a toss up. I mean, there's even things with choosing a binding or not. Like I don't ride a front binding.
Hmm.
Another one of my friends doesn't have a binding. There's a few guys that don't rock bindings.
Yeah, that's the question. You are a guy who likes to move your feet. You have to move your feet in downhill. You have to move the position, and then having the binding in electric skateboard is not easy because you're not going to move yourself. What is the difference from you? From you, you are a rider. Don't use it.
Yeah, I have used it plenty of times. So I do ride other people's boards that have bindings. I've fallen with bindings a few times. So it's not like I qualified on a board with a friend's board with the binding on. I do think a binding gives you a little bit of an edge performance wise. But for me personally, I think it comes down to safety, and I want to be able to jump off my board if I need to. And there's some instances where some people have tweaked their ankles because they're bored and then falling kind of went a weird direction. And you have a board that's 40, 50 pounds, and even though the odds are pretty low, most of the time your board is going to go you know in a different direction, slip right out of your foot, and you're fine. But there is a percentage chance that it could go the wrong way, and your ankle could get twisted in there. So so I kind of take that a little bit lack of performance on the top end, because if I need a bail, I want to bail. And I do want to say though too, as board technology improves, it could also change the way, maybe possibly the need for a binding, because
Hmm.
let's say that your board is able to turn the way you want it. Maybe you don't need a binding because the board just does what you want it to do.
Hmm.
So maybe that day will come where bindings might be less prominent. But hey, I mean, everyone has their own preference. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that people have different styles. It's such a fun time to be a part of it because everyone's got different styles. They got different
It's good to
boards.
have the
Yeah,
option.
totally, yeah. And I have foot stops right now.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to move my feet.
I do
Or maybe
too. Yeah,
maybe because I'm used to or never use it in my life, it's difficult
sure.
for me to, because
Yeah,
I like to move the position of my feet. There is no
yeah,
chance. And
yeah.
when
I,
I'm
I do too. Yeah,
and
I think it's a preference thing for sure.
like here in Europe, we have lots of mountain bikes, mountain boards to go off road, and most of them use the bindings, and
Mhm.
it's something I cannot feel myself. I understand if you want to make jumps and something like that is very good, but it's like if I fall, I like to move my body and jump and rotate. I don't know.
Yeah,
And if you have the bindings, you cannot move yourself. You just have to go with the board. You just have to,
yeah.
and you can
I think
hurt
for
yourself.
I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, I snowboard. I have snowboards right back
Yeah,
there. And there's bindings, but it's a little different because you have
it's
your boots.
totally different, my friend. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
the board's
do.
a lot lighter. You
Mm-hmm,
have boots that lock your ankles in and
mm-hmm.
everything. So, but I mean, I do see the guys out there who are really good that come from mountain boarding, and makes sense to have it for them. I think mountain boarding makes the most sense to me for
Mm-hmm.
bindings, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't really done a ton of it to really say for sure. But to me, that makes sense because that's kind of where it comes from. The
Yeah,
guys.
it's coming before having the electric. The guys who do downhill with mountain boards, they use it like that. They are used to use that going downhill, and
Yeah,
you have the handbrake. You
right.
have the brake in your hand. Lots of people today are not using anymore, but
Right.
that was the thing they most of the time they use it, like the trampers and all
Yeah,
this stuff.
totally.
And today we have the electric, and there is lots of events happening, and they use it. But for me,
Mhm,
it's very strange to do it. But it's an
mhm,
option, and of course, the options are there for us to use it. My
mhm.
friend, I would like to. We're going to put something here.
Sure.
I know that you win this race and everything, but one of the races, I don't know if it's this one, but doesn't matter. I want to show this for the people to know how speeds you guys take, because this is a very open race. It's not like the a skate con. A skate con is more of a race that you don't have so much space for you to work. Here you can go to the limits of these machines.
Yeah.
I want to make some questions
Okay.
for you. I think it's good for the people to know the important thing. Do you think the speeds that we are using now in this moment uh, is already enough, or you think we're going to see in the future and is safe for us to go maybe 10 miles or 20 miles more in a electro longboard, because that is
Yeah.
not
I'd say electric skateboard, but I mean, longboard is interchangeable.
yeah,
So yeah, I do think that speeds are gonna, you're gonna rise.
increase.
Speed is inevitable. That's what I
Yeah.
like to say because I actually never really, when I first got into skateboarding, I wasn't about speed. I wanted to slide and stuff like that, and and eventually you're like, what's the next step? So speed is the next step. But do I see that becoming a popular thing? There's a certain kind of balance in there, and I think AVS, Apple Valley
Oh,
Speedway,
hello, David.
is a good kind of balance because it's got a little bit of everything. You got high speeds of 55 miles an hour. We could probably be pushing it towards 60 at some point, but you have a lot of the elements that you'd find in short track, where you do a lot of tight bends. So I think that track that you're showing right there at Race and Ride, it's got a little bit of
Uh-huh.
everything. I think that style is going to become it will become more and more popular as we utilize more tracks. There's a lot of different tracks in Southern California that we haven't even raced at. So there's a lot of car enthusiasts. That track is a drift track. So
Uh-huh.
um, and we could be finding tracks that are much smoother and have way more amenities and better locations. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I'm really happy to use a track like that. It's a ton of fun. I love being out there. But there's so much more out there for us to utilize. And when it comes to higher speeds, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised to see speeds of 70 miles an hour, even beyond that. And there may be just like one or two races to start off with, to say, hey, look, this race is really fast. Only the guys who are comfortable, who have the boards that go that fast, can race this, and it's kind of
But
fun.
you guys continue to have the record of fast lap uh, from the
Yeah,
AUCs and everything
Mario has the track record right
record.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
second question I want to make you, my friend. You have lots of friends in this sport. Lots of friends that I love a lot. Lots of friends I put the interviews here. Lots of people
yeah.
that I know
Yep.
they have lots of love for this sport,
They do.
and these persons they are the key of this sport, and that's why I put this channel. When I started like a joke to make interviews. We are close now to 350 interviews with riders around the world. You are one of them. Before you came here was people who came to me and say, Nelson, this guy is one of the crazy guys. You have to have it in a live stream. He is pushing the limits and is giving a hard headache to the everybody. But for you, my friend, who is the guys who push you in this races? Who are the guys you always like? You say, I have to watch this guy and this guy, and that this is the guys who I like to race against.
Yeah, I mean,
not put
Mario's
you
at the top
not
there,
put
so
you
I'm
in a
always
bad
racing
position, my
against
friend.
him. Mario's a really good friend of mine, so but
He's
he's
one of the
super cool
nicest guys of
because
the world, my
yeah,
friend.
he's super nice, and what's really cool about him is that he cares about people at entry level. Intro to Speed has been such a um, great thing to have to get people introduced to the world of racing, and it's pretty rare to see someone that is really dialed in with their ability. Not even just skateboarders, but he also rides a unicycle. But to but not even focus on himself and say, hey, look, there's other people out there who can utilize something and can learn more. And so he puts a lot of time and effort to getting other people riding and learning. So, but yeah, I mean, I always have to race against him. He's always, I mean, I've beat him in a race a few times, but he's got bull rider's blood, so he's hard to beat.
But it's good to ride
Otherwise,
against. It's good to ride against him and ride together with him
yeah,
because
totally, totally.
you don't
It's
ride just against him. You have not
exactly.
lots of good videos, and I want to share this video because Justin for me is one of the greatest guys I ever known, and I'm very proud of him because he do lots of good stuff for the community, and sometimes the people don't see
Definitely.
him. He's a rider too, and that is just a small thing that he put for you guys, and that it was not a race. That was just you guys having in a park line in a.
Yeah, yeah, just a fun video, promotional video for sure.
And I think that is a beautiful to see you guys not just racing, but doing stuff together and promoting the future
Yeah,
of this sport because it's not
totally.
easy. for you guys. You are guys who are making this sport in 10 years when we come. I'm very surprised, and I'm very proud to see that you have a big background, and it's not easy for us to find guys who so many years riding electro skateboards. I was thinking maybe you have 3 4 years, but you give me a big surprise showing that you are one of the guys who started like me. I'm come from I think 2011, around that, and
Nice.
seeing people like you, and this video is everything. That is the best promotion we everybody can put it, is seeing 4 guys or 5 guys, and lots of people don't see the videos from you
Yeah.
guys. And
Yeah, even Mo,
uh
that's Mo right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
The
it's
guy who
Moe to
makes
get
boards,
together here.
he's
Yeah, yeah.
he's gone fast himself. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, I'm really stoked the community is so cool and friendly and humble. There it could be so many different ways, but I'm so happy that the people who are in the sport are, they're not like hot shots. They don't have these attitudes. They come
Just
in
seeing you
really
and
friendly
Mario
people,
directly in
really cool
your
people.
back.
What's up?
Just seeing you and Mario in your back, and
Oh
just
yeah,
having this small gap between you two is
yeah.
a lot of trust, my friend. You have to have trust in the guy who's on the
Oh,
front.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
And most of the guys, you know that sometimes today when I go to events or something like that, I have to be careful with the guy who is on my
Sure,
front, because we don't know the reaction he's going to have, and we are
sure.
talking about splits, and see you guys going so close, and of course you guys know each other. You
Hmm.
guys race against, and you have fun together, and I
Totally.
think that is what is going to push. Do you think this year we're going to see again the I just want to put uh, there is always the fun, and is do you think let's change here, because you are the important one. Do you think this year maybe you're going to see more how can I say it, more European guys going to the what's the name, Valley? I don't know. It's going to happen this year. I hope that happens again. What's the name of the race? The sorry, let me just change here very fast. Uh, the change it, doesn't matter. Do you want to see in a skatecon was lots of European guys,
Hmm.
was guys from Australia too there,
Yep.
was the guys who, from Australia, that I was very surprised. This guy with the Rasta, and that he can make the wheelies and everything. That is something that we are seeing now. Got lots of guys. There's a guy here in France that are doing wheelies with the boards,
It's
and
cool.
we are seeing the innovation don't stop. Do you think the electro sport, like you told about downhill is something that has lots of years and lots of um, how can I say it? You as put and in today you have lots of good boards, good decks, good trucks, and everything. The downhill is everything in a good way. Do you think the electro mountain boards is starting now? Do you we're going to see lots of innovations, lots of things happening, or you think is already there, like
Oh, I
for
think we're
races?
just kind of getting started. Yeah, this is pretty new. I mean, I kind of have some experience because I've been in downhill in like 2010, and downhill was exploding at that time. And there was so many things that had changed from, and it's even to this day. So I'd say like only about 5 years ago, or within 5 years, downhill has significantly changed with gear. So I think in electric, because there's so many different parts, so many different things you can switch up. I think that we probably, if anything, will have more of a range or bigger time span of development. Um, I mean, there's stuff to software to batteries. I mean, I feel like who's to say what battery technology is going to be in 10 years?
Hmm.
It could be something totally revolutionary, that is developed in the car world, or any other kind of industry that we can basically utilize. and we could have just crazy amount of power in a tight package, and it could really change the way what our boards can do.
Hmm.
So it's something that maybe people don't think about too much yet, but that's something that will happen eventually. I'm sure of it. And but as far as like just trends and what people prefer, what different things can be figured out, yeah, I think there's a whole lot. I think what Mo has done in Stooge, taking basically what he knows from cars and putting it to electric skateboards. I mean, I can only imagine that there's going to be just more of that, and he's constantly working on different things from what he knows, and I could see just more and more of people just putting more of their time and efforts to making boards better. So yeah, I totally think that we're going to see the stuff that we have today be pretty different, even 5 years time. Um,
We are seeing like Moe has a motor, like using now just a motor in the center, and
yeah, single motor. That's what I'm
yes.
running right on my
Yeah.
board. Yeah.
What is for you how do you see the difference between with two motors or four motors, and then now having uh, just a motor who runs the two tires on the back, is make you more safe? What is the difference? How can you describe it? Having just this motor is better. Do you feel that is better? That is,
Oh yeah,
you
so
have
I'm
more
still trying to
power.
figure out myself and figure if it's really the way that I want to move forward. But right now, it's something I just had to try. I've tried it before. We did a lot of prototyping. We got a chance to feel it out, and uh, yeah, I think it comes down to preference as well. But for me personally, it's a little bit more affordable because you're only
Hmm.
buying half the parts.
Yeah, 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 of
Other
course.
part to it is that the trucks are narrow in the back.
But
So
having a motor, big motor, do you think you're going to have the same speeds, or you are losing a little of the speeds? More, how can you see it having just one motor? Because for me, it's like I'm trying to work myself, because I want to have one of the boards. And when I
yeah,
was here in the last interview with Moe, and he told me about that, about the prototype that you guys are testing, I was
mhm.
very interested, and I was asking myself, and lots of people was asking, having this motor in the middle is going to be better or not? And I said the only thing I can do it is ask to the guys who are testing. That
Yeah,
way we can have some answers.
sure. Yeah, so I mean, I'm still really figuring out for myself. I mean, I've only raced the
What
board
speeds can you
once.
go with the
Sorry, what?
one motor? What is the limit of speeds? Can you get to the speeds that you
We should
get
be
with
able
the?
to hit 55 miles an hour. We
Okay.
could top out basically that's the fastest race that we have currently is at Apple Valley Speedway Race and Ride, and we hit 55 miles an hour. So the single motor can do that. You can gear it up differently, but you might lose out on the lower end, torque.
Okay.
I think for most situations, most races, we don't really have to have two, but two is great because it can lighten the load on one single motor. So you might see better longevity,
Mm-hmm.
wear and tear with two motors. In addition to that, cooling, because we're not running fans on the newer style hobby wing motors, the ones that they're black and silver. I've been out there. People are looking at the Easy Run Max 4. Um, but they run pretty cool. Like without a fan, they don't really get too hot because there's just so much to go around. So I think if we start seeing races that are more intense or higher laps, so let's say we're going to be doing 10 or 20 laps, a single motor might struggle with that. But a lot of races we're seeing like 5 max
Mm-hmm.
max. So
Okay.
you know, I think the single motor is able to do most of what you need.
Uh-huh.
Um, but if we started seeing more intense racing, and we're going to be kind of seeing how that's going to do with Phoenix, Arizona. So Electrify has their whole electric skateboard league, and they're doing a whole series. So there's 4 races, with the last race being
Mm-hmm.
championship in New York. But
Oh, that is a very good
Phoenix,
thing.
yeah, and so because I mean, you were kind of mentioning like how the future of the sport is going to be like, and we're going to have more electric skate races out there, and
Uh,
this is one of them. But kind of going back to the motor thing, uh, right now I think having a single motor is doable and in certain ways can be beneficial. But like temperatures 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit at some locations that we're going to race just like in the next week
Hmm.
could prove difficult for a single motor. And we might have to add fans to it because they might be, just at that threshold, they're just getting too hot. Having two motors might be a little bit better. And so, but the big thing though, besides all of the cooling, all that, I mean, you can solve that with fans and different
Hmm.
technology. It's not that crazy, but the big difference is having a locked axle in the back. So, basically you have two motors, so you can have each one move at a different speed when you're turning. And so
Yeah,
having
that's why.
one, yeah, it's locked. So it makes it want to go straight. So I'd say for stability, going straight feels great. And when you're going in turns, then you kind of have to fight it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's why I ask if you have like the Apple Valley. I think that is a good one motor is good because you have lots of open space for you to go to the speeds that you need.
sure,
But
yeah,
when you have like a escape con that you have to work a lot with lots of curves, you have to. It's like a track from karting. It's very. You have to have lots of skills. Uh, uh,
sure, yeah.
uh,
It's to
Maybe
be
it's better.
determined almost.
Yeah.
Mario's the one who has the most time on it, and he's proven
Hmm.
that it can work. I think he has some plans to take his V5 and put two motors on that and compare it directly with his single motor Super Spine, because there hasn't been a ton of testing with one back to back with the other.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
that way he can go on a track with the same conditions, the same layout, jump on one board, test it out, jump on the next board, and then test that out and compare the two. Because sometimes the differences are really hard to gauge if you have too much of a time span between the two. But at the end of the day, it's something where, for me personally, I just had to try it. I just had to try. I had to see for myself. Um, Again, there's a few big benefits that I see. Just for one, it's affordable. For two, you get the back truck more narrow right off the bat, and if the truck isn't more narrow in the back, basically it can corner a little bit better. But with the locked axle, again, you're fighting it, but at the same time, through the straightaways, it's going to want to center you. So it's a trade-off. So just kind of depends on what you need. So for me, I wanted to see what that trade-off is going to be like.
So then I put you two questions is like this. The first question is like we are seeing now the Meepo is going to come. I don't know if you. I think I see you testing, and how do you see the new trucks from the Meepo? Like they work together to put these trucks. Do you think that is going to be something good for like karting trucks, small that you have to work more with your machine? Do you think that is how do you see the new trucks and the new machine from Meepo that came together with Moe to create this new board?
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool opportunity. I think it's great for the racing scene as a whole because a lot of people don't have the time and money to invest in a high performance racing um, skateboard. So it definitely makes it a lot easier for people who are just getting into the sport and they're just not totally sure if they want to invest, $4,000 or $5,000 on a board. But this one
Hmm.
that people is putting out there is about half the price, and for a lot of people, that's going to make it much easier for them to get into the sport. In addition to that, it's plug and play. A lot of the
Yeah.
boards that we work on, there's a lot that goes into having to tune the boards um, and then you have to open them up, and the list goes on and on with batteries and all the different parts. But something that if Meepo it has gotten involved, and we have a board coming out like that.
Hmm.
They're coming out with it, so it's just going to make it much easier, more accessible for people. So for
Yeah.
people who are just starting to race, for people who have been a little bit familiar with racing, I think it's great. And the
As,
trucks are have been tested out. They're great trucks. I mean, it's something really cool to see the progression with the three links, and they're filling in a gap where the double kingpins can be easily replaced by these new three links, the short rods. So um,
do you
it's
think
even if you don't buy the
is
board, you could buy the trucks and you could just
yeah, yeah.
basically install them
But
on
my question is like this. First of all, was a big question. Oh, they are making a copy and everything. That was fair enough to see that in the interview, Moe showed that they are working together. They are
they are,
not. This not
yeah.
copyrights. They are
Mhm.
doing something for the community.
Mhm.
And but is the truck smaller than for Moe, or is the same? Uh, what is the difference between the two of them?
Um, in some ways they're smaller, but they're about the same size. I mean, it's a little bit more of a tighter package,
Uh
but it's
huh.
really about the geometry where it shoots the radius rods further upward, and basically it kind of just I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain this, but it takes everything like that a three link would need
Mm-hmm.
to replace a double kingpin easily. So
Okay.
that's you basically get all the benefits of a three link without having to do all these adapters and all this crazy configuration when you try to put that onto a board that already has a double kingpin. Um, so that's I'd say like one of the big takeaways from it, because there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, I have a board, it's got double kingpins. You know, I can't put a three link on this board without having to, you know, get my hands dirty and figure out how to make it mount right." These things are just they're just plug and play. You take
Oh,
your old
oh,
trucks off, put these on, you're good to go. But you're still getting all the great benefits of a three
yeah,
link. So
yeah.
it's filling in that gap that for a lot of people that want to upgrade their board, but they don't
Mhm.
want to upgrade everything. They're just like, I just want to upgrade the trucks. Now they have something that's easy to do.
And like you see it. Some guys of Europe there, and like in AsketCon, guys with four motors. Is something that you guys are used to see there in USA, or something that is not anymore that you guys use it anymore. Seeing two motors on the front, two motors on the back, is something that you guys don't use it anymore, or you think that seeing the guys from Europe bringing that, like David, like uh, we have Tilo was riding the four motors, is something that you guys don't like to use it in USA, is not a good upgrade. How do you see it? Because the guys was not very bad in a race there against you guys. I was
Yeah.
very surprised to see the
Yeah.
guys on the top.
Oh, they did really well. I mean, there was some really good competition out there. Really cool to see some guys with different setups go out there and give it their best. I'd say it's a preference thing. Four motors is not out of the question for us. It's just kind of like what we decided to go with, and you know, it's such a it's one of those things we have, like, let's say 20 different options, and it's like, well, I got to pick one, and then you know
Hmm.
you just pick one. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to say like just because you pick one then it's better than the other. It's sort of like, well, I have 20 options and I can only ride one at a time. You know, I don't have 50 boards that I can buy or whatever. It's just to try everything out. So you kind of have to just place your bets on something that you feel like will do it for you. Um, so for four motors, I've ridden a lot of boards with four motors, and they're powerful. There's a V5 there's a couple of V5s that have four motors.
Yeah, I
Generally,
know,
the
I
four
know.
motors. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I see some of the guys who race with you, and one of them
Mhm.
is going to come here to the live stream. He was talking, and I was seeing here with the four motors, but I don't see lots of benefits racing against you guys. They always the yoga. What's the name is always in.
Yeah, his name is Ron Gallinado, and
Yeah.
he's fast, and he sets his board up. I've ridden his boards. He has a few of them,
Hmm.
and I think usually what happens is people run four motors with outrunners, and the
Hmm.
outrunners kind of have difficulty with heat compared to
Okay.
in-runner motors. So in a way, I feel like the outrunners kind of work well with their size and everything. And when you run them with four, you kind of all handle the load kind of equally. Um, but the big benefit though, really with four motors, is braking because we don't have front brakes on like my board. A lot of the V5s don't have front brakes, so you have more braking power, and that's it could be really beneficial. Um, but generally, I think a lot of people run the big motors, it's either just the one or the double in the
Hmm.
rear, because those motors have so much power, and just the power delivery is just amazing. And so people are just kind of going that direction now. It would be cool to see some people go with in runners and run four in runners that are really
Ooh.
powerful. Hasn't
Ooh.
really been done yet. So
That is
uh,
too much power, my friend.
it's a lot of power, yeah, and it's just a lot of it's size. It's a lot. It just you end up having a huge.
Batteries and everything, and you
Yeah,
have to be.
right. But I mean,
It's
hey,
going to.
it's so many options out there. So I'd say the big takeaway for four-wheel drive is you do have grip in the front when you take off.
Hmm.
There's like I was trying out a friend's board at EskateCon, the first EskateCon,
Hmm.
and he it was a DIY, and it was four-wheel drive, and it felt great because that track was so slippery. I felt like it did help having a little bit more traction up in the front, and then braking, of course. So um, I think we're going to see more and more of it. Honestly, I think we're going to
I'm
see.
just asking here because David is here, the guy from Czech Republic, was racing there, and I know that he has four motors, and he's one of the guys is always pushing, and is one of the guys is always organizing events here in Europe, and
Mhm.
pushing for this sport in Europe. And I hope to see him. That's what what's the question I was trying to ask to you was Apple Valley Speedway 24 is going to happen.
It should. Yeah, race and ride. So there's actually another event that popped out just last year called Rider Fest. And they
You have
did
to
that
send me
one a
that.
month before Race and Ride, which Race and Ride is usually in November. So I don't know the status on Rider Fest. I don't know if we're going to see that
Hmm.
coming out again at the same time. And if it does, it'll be October. It'll be basically back to back. So you'll see an October event at that track and then a November event at that track. So it should. I mean, AVS Race and Ride usually gets announced so many months before they have the event,
Hmm.
but it's been going strong for years, so I don't see any reason why that's not going to happen. So I
I
look
would
forward
love
to
to
it.
see.
People are
I would
always
love
looking
to.
forward to it, regardless.
I would love to see this year. Not just you guys, but having the chance. I was speaking with Moe that I would love to go this year there. Not to race, but to support your event. I think you guys have uh, changed this sport for all of us, and we have to say a big thank for all of you guys because it's not easy. Sometimes we have to take money for our private life and everything and put just to make the sport bigger, and it's not easy. It's a expensive sport. Is
It is.
expensive and is expensive for the people who are creating, is expensive for the people who are buying and racing. And I would love to see this year. I was so happy, and was one of the years I was very sad not to be in the AskateCon because I was seeing so much people from around the world going there, having the opportunity to support the skateboards, the longboards, the racing, and putting this events and growing the sport. I was losing for maybe 3 years. I was saying, "Po, the AUCs and the one wheels are taking our places," and what is going to be what is going to be the future of the guys who love this longboards and downhill and skateboarding, and because that is one of the places lots of people don't understand that, but skateboarding as where we are very united. that everybody comes together and everything. Then comes the longboarding, and we was losing that. And
Mhm.
now seeing having so much events and creating so much stuff for all of us, and seeing events happening there, events happening now in Europe, in Australia, the people talking in China, they are doing so many much races. We are seeing lots of companies trying to help and support these events, and we lose two big companies this year. That was Lacroix, and that was the Kelly boards. They was not made for races, but that is companies we see closing doors every day, and now we are seeing other new companies coming, because with you guys, you put again the guys who was there on saying, oh, maybe I'm going to close my company because that is not making money, and now the sport is coming back, but it's coming back because of you guys. Because how do you push it? How do you push the race? How different styles of riders came to this sport? Like, you come from skateboard downhill, you have the background of skating, and now having the chance to share your skills of racing, and bringing the European guys to race against you guys, and the Australian guys going there. That means that I think 24 will be fantastic. I would love to see in Apple Valley this year a big race, not just most of the guys from USA, but
Mhm.
having from around the world. Because this year I would love to go there, and don't miss that. I think that is important for all of us, because now we're going to have lots of things not so expensive, but being with the meeple, with a setting that you can then DIY your batteries, your motors, and you have already this upgrade that you're going to save. That way, you can have the chance to race against you guys, because you guys are very fast. you you guys are very good.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a fast track out there. Yeah, 55
I
miles.
love that track. I love, because I know that you're going to go with the limits of this longboards. I know that
Yeah.
most of the times I'm afraid of you guys, that you come to the limit of the rotation of the motors and you create bubbles. That is the dangers of going to the limit of the rotation. You have to be careful.
Yeah, well, having the right setup makes a big difference to reduce those chance for wobbles, and just practice. I mean, getting out there and just riding a lot makes a big difference. But tuning your board. So not every board is going to be the same for every track. So when you know you have higher speed, you can adjust your board to make it more stable. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned a lot of really good points. I really look forward to the progression of the sport, and I look forward to seeing more guys from Europe and Australia and from all over the world come and
From
race
China
here.
too.
Yeah, in
There are
China.
good
And
riders in
I want to
China.
visit. Yeah,
Asia,
and
Asia are very strong, my friend, and they are very, very good riders.
yeah,
Lots of people
totally.
don't see the videos from them, and sometimes I lose my time just to see the races from them. They are very, very good, and it's very
Yeah,
sad
there's
that
great.
nobody
Yeah, I totally agree. There's guys all over, and some
downhill too,
guys
my
don't have
friend.
the publicity yet, but they're and once they're on the track and they give it their all, there people are going to notice them. And I've seen that already. I've seen riders progress very quickly and are already riding at the pro level, and it's pretty competitive. So, but yeah, I want to go and race all over the world. That's one thing that sounds like a ton of fun, and just I do want the sport to grow, and comparing it to downhill. I mean, I've seen downhill do that. People from all over the world racing all over the world. So, and I want to be a part of that in electric, but I also want electric and downhill to come together in a lot of ways. I think.
That was going to be my next question. Seeing your riders of electric, sometimes you try to bring them to go downhill with you,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
Mario, like
I've taken Mario. Yeah. Fess, Redbeard, Dina. There's a handful of people I've taken out to
and
do some. Yeah.
some of them never tried before. How was the
Yeah.
sensation for these guys to see and
Yeah, well, I mean, like Maryhill was a great opportunity because Maryhill is a downhill course. So
Hmm.
it's a spot that's legendary in the downhill scene, and we got to race electric uphill for many years. And when I was there, I was like, well, we got to do some downhill. So I got Mario and Redbeard and Fess to ride down the hill and everything, and practice sliding and all of that. So at Mary Hill, you don't have to slide, which is nice. You can just grip the whole thing. And I think for a lot of people, getting started and not only just learning how to slide like at on small hills, but also just
You have to
um,
make some videos.
yeah, well, I do want. There's another thing about downhill that's really important. It's falling.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing up downhill again. But um, having slide gloves and being able to just put your arms out and fall is super beneficial. And that's the way I've been falling for years. And um, in downhill, you're going so slow, and a lot of times when you fall, you're already on the ground, so it's not even that big of a deal. But it allows you to get comfortable falling. And in electric, you have brakes, and a lot of people don't really get familiar with that feeling, and so sometimes falling can be a big deal for people in electric. And so I feel like that's where downhill can really help electric riders is get comfortable with them using their hands and getting falling at slow speeds and things like that, um, and not having brakes. And you don't have brakes, you have to figure another technique out. So uh, I basically always have a backup brake on hand. It's either if I have to bust out a slide or a foot brake.
But
And
Rux,
a lot of guys in electric may not have that ability, and it could be dangerous if something goes wrong. If their
but
remote disconnects or something, and they have no brakes and they're going down a hill or just going somewhere, and they need to stop. So I think
don't you
there's
think? Don't you think is good for us? For the people, lots of people we know, I'm pretty sure they never ride before a skateboard or longboard. They came directly to the electro skateboard. Don't you think? I'm always the first person to say, uh, don't. If you go to electric, try to go to longboard before, to try to have the skills
yeah,
pushing, just for you to have a notion of how can you fall, because I think falling is very important to know how to fall. If you don't know how to fall, you're going to break yourself.
yeah,
you
in a lot of ways, yeah.
it doesn't matter if
I
it's
agree.
electric or not. And lots of people, it's easy when you go electric. You just have to pull the controller and let's go. And sometimes the people don't know how to jump from the board. The people don't know how to, when you have the battery is broken and you have to push the board.
Sure, yeah,
Lots of
I've been
people
through
don't know how to push the board.
yeah, it's helpful to know all those different things. Uh,
And I
yeah,
always tell to everybody,
I
guys,
agree.
why not? Yeah, I always tell guys, buy a longboard with no motor.
Yeah,
Just have 1 week, 10 minutes for day, just doing a little exercise. That is going to
exercise is good.
improve your skills, and you're going to be safer for
I agree.
you and for the other riders, not just for you.
Yeah,
And you have
I
to have
agree.
this problem, go a little downhill, not too much, just a little, and
Yeah,
try
just a little
to jump or try to brake or try to know how can you react, because when you are electric and you don't have no brakes, what are you going to do then?
bit. Mhm. Right.
You have to have that background. That is my and I think that is nice to see Mario go with you downhill.
Yeah, he did a great job. I didn't record it, but I wish I did.
I would love
It
to
was
see
a ton
Mario, the red beer, and everybody just
of fun.
having I was talking last time with Red Beard, and he was telling when you're going to bring everybody again to have a live stream, and I have to prepare again to bring everybody. Just to, I think it was one of the days I have the best time of my life
Yeah,
laughing because everybody was talking about everybody, and I think that you guys as a big. In a couple of years, you guys are going to have a lot to talk about it, and to say, guys, we was the first ones there. We was the guys who changed this sport, and maybe bring together the downhill together with the electric and with the skate, and show that we can do everything, and we need everything has
Yeah,
to work together, because
I agree. Yeah.
what you said was very important. Downhill is not just riding. You have to know lots of things. You have to know how to brake. You have to know how to jump. How can you fall? How can you put your hands on the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I brake? Where do I have to brake? How can I
Totally.
position my feet to brake?
Mm-hmm.
And it's lots of stuff. And then you have to have your legs have to be with a little training, because
Yeah,
definitely,
condition. Yeah,
yeah,
downhill definitely helps with that too.
if you don't have it, you're going to try to do something, and it's going to be. And having you now here with this guys, I think is going to bring lots of good riders. But I want to put you in not in a bad position, but I'm going to what the day that you have skating, you have the downhill, you have electric, you have snowboarding. What is for you still the what you love more to do of all of them?
It's hard to say. I also go rock climbing a lot too. Um, so let's see.
Oh,
I
how
don't
can you put it in? How can you put them all of them?
know. What do you
Uh,
mean? Put them on?
like this. I'm going to try to be it. I don't want to put you in a bad position. It's
No,
like
that's
this.
fine. I think it's cool. I love
I'm
all
going
of
to
this
tell you
stuff.
like this.
Uh,
I like to ride electric. I don't have no problem. I think he's fantastic. I think he's amazing. But I like to my mountain board. I like to have
mhm,
this feeling that I have to work with that. I have to
mhm,
work the machine. I don't have no motor. I don't have no brake. I have to
mhm.
use my body. I have to use my skills. I have to use my legs, my everything. And with the electric, is everything is a little more easier, because if you have to brake, you just have to go to the control and everything is fine. You don't have to have so much skills. And of course, I like to go electric. Of course, I have lots of boards here, but without a motor, sometimes it's just amazing. Just
Mhm. Yeah,
to
you're kind of in tune with the environment. There's no like humming of the motors. It's just the environment and you. So I could relate with that. And there's times where I downhill and I feel that. And it's like smooth. You're kind of more connected because urethane is
you are
more.
working. You are
Yeah,
working the
but
machine.
pneumatics or airless, it's kind of like you're floating on a cloud a little bit where you can't really feel the road. So sometimes it's nice to be on urethane because you can feel more what the road has to offer. But as far as like picking one, I mean, it's like choosing your favorite song or something like that. Um, but
It's
right
moving.
now, I've been needing to snowboard because I haven't snowboarded this season, and I try to snowboard at least once every season, if not multiple times a season. So I need to do that, but I have a lot of racing coming up, so it's just I'm trying to balance. It's a balancing act. So if anything, I wish I had more resources and so I'd have could spend more time just doing the things I love. So I and the things I love would be skateboarding, snowboarding,
Yeah.
all of
That,
that.
that's why I think I'm going to go, because we talked before in private and we said we're going to make the interview 20 minutes. We are already 1 hour and 30 minutes
Yeah, I
now.
know. I was looking at the time too.
And I just want to make
Right.
this question is like this. Do you think there is something very important missing for you guys, like in other sports, is sponsors?
Yeah, so that's slowly changing. Meepo is stepping up and doing a lot with Stooge to change that, and I'm a part of that. I'm really stoked to be part of the team and represent Stooge and Meepo together. And I do represent a few other companies as well. So Lazy Rolling,
Mm-hmm.
they help me with the jackets
Mm-hmm.
protection.
Mm-hmm.
I also have my own company, but it's really, really small, and that's Volk. Volk
Oh,
Skating
send me
Club.
the link that I can put it for everybody if they want to
Uh,
contact.
Yeah, I could like right now or
Yeah,
later.
yeah, yeah. Of course, my friend. Send me here.
I have to go on Instagram, but it's really it's like
Oh,
a
you
work
are in it. You have in Instagram.
process.
Okay, wait, wait, wait. I can go. Do you have in your do you have in your normal Instagram that I can pull it from there?
Uh,
Let me show you. Let me change here very
yeah, if
fast
you
that you can
just
see.
search bulk skate, it'll be
Yeah,
that's
wait
it.
a second. Wait a second. Let's see here. Put you to the
This should
top.
be there in the bio. Should be the first one. Oh, in the bio.
Okay,
So
in the
go
bio.
back.
Yeah, I have to come back. Wait a second.
It should be just the handle is in the bio. Just
Here.
no, go one more.
Yeah, this one.
No, the description.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, full. Oh, okay. Full
yeah,
skate.
bulk skate.
Yeah. Okay. Full skate. Let's do it like this, and let's put it here. So this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the slide gloves that I use are the ones that I work with company to develop and make those. But it's a work in progress. So just comes
It's
down to me.
always good, my friend, because if it comes from a rider, I think that is the problem. Lots of companies that we see down there, they never try it. They never, they don't know. And you guys as riders, I think, is the best persons uh, to bring with the product for all of us because you know what is the best. And I'm always the first guy to say, give to the riders to have the chance to. So, guys, just for everybody to say, he's not paying me nothing, and I did. I think we have to support. I'm going to leave then later on his link, and if you are for the downhill and something like that, I think he's showing here something for you guys to use it. And
Well, thank you for showing that. It's still a work in progress. I have a lot of things to catch up on with that, but yeah, the
evolution
goal is
is good, my
I,
friend.
what's up?
Evolution is good, and if you are
Yeah,
trying to improve it, that means that you are working all the time to bring something good for all of us. And if the people start to follow you, maybe in 6 months you have a good product for all of us, for our
that's the goal.
safety and for us everything. I think that is good. I'm always the first one, but I'm always the first one to have to see a Red Bull or a GoPro or a Monster drink to go and support you guys. You need that. You need that support because you have then the chance to go forward. And I think these companies have to see that this is a big sport that we are having here. The PVs are coming, and they have to support more riders like you. And I'm always the first one to say the important thing for us to grow. For us to grow is for us to uh, try to find sponsors for you guys because
Thank
if you
you.
have sponsors you can go around the world and show this sport and uh, show to other persons or kids to try it and that way we're going to go in the right direction. And there is lots of companies who have so much money and they are expending the money in a wrong way. And I think you guys are one of the persons who need to be sponsor. And seeing you with your helm with the I don't care what is going to be there. The important thing is the guy is telling you, okay, you can travel around the world. You're going to receive that and that and that, and you can represent the downhillers, the electro skateboarders, and everything. Mario, the guys who have worked our asses for years and years to put the machines what we have today on the top. Because Meepo is there today, but Meepo
Yeah.
is catching now what you guys did for years and years of testing. That
Hmm.
is not just. It's not that I'm saying that Meepo. No, not thank you. I love Meepo because the guy from Meepo was always a very good with the customers. He always take care of everybody. It's not the problem, but you guys are the ones who tested and tested and tested and fall and race and put everything together. And now we have a machine that is okay, and you guys say it, okay, we have something good, and Meepo can sell it for all of us. You see, in Meepo is out of sales. All the boards they put to sell it, yeah, it's over. It was, I think, 3 or 4 hours. Everything was sold. So that means that lots of people around the world are interested in this sport. And I don't understand, like a Red Bull or a Monster Energy or a GoPro, that is companies that they are with the sports, like radical sports. Why don't we have they supporting you guys? I think that is
It
will
will
be
happen
great.
eventually.
Yeah,
I think just more and more publicity is needed, more infrastructure is needed. So I'd say in the future we could start seeing that. And
I hope that the future is very soon, my friend, because it's difficult for you guys. I know that it's difficult. I know how difficult is that for you guys, and I want to see you guys having that chance. And I don't want
yeah,
to
thank
see
you. Appreciate all that. And
my
by the
friend.
way, none of us are rolling in the dough here. We're not rich. We're not so a
Yeah,
lot of
I
the work
know.
we
That's
have
why.
to do, we just have to do it a lot of times on our own. And we do get we catch breaks where companies are that do support us. I ride for Stooge race boards, and I've
Hmm.
received some support from them. But it's one of those things where you don't get everything paid for. You have to pay for a lot of things on your own,
Yeah,
um, and yeah, I'd love to see a day where riders can continue pushing themselves, but have it so they can focus more on the sport because they don't have to focus so much on
it's not
having to
just
pay the
that.
bills because the bills are covered.
Yeah, it's
So
not
one day
just
we'll
like
get
that.
there. I mean, I look forward to that.
It's not just like that. Like you in USA, let's put it this way. I don't want to make this interview more and more, but that is just. I would love, like you say now. So I would love to make an event or make like in a one wheel you have the league that they make
Right.
7 or 8 events, and then the
Mhm.
best of the year they come to a final, and we're going to have a final in USA, and then the guys from Australia, from China, from Europe, and then we come together in one place, and the best riders from each regions of the world, they come and they are sponsored. I don't care for what, and you guys can say, oh, I'm going to go to Europe, I have a good sponsor, and the sponsor is winning with me and everything, and everybody of the community go there and to see a nice race. That's what I
Yeah,
want for the
totally.
future. And I
I want
think that
that as
is
well.
fair for you guys, because it's lots of your pocket, lots of your private life that you can do other things. You are investing for the future of other riders in the future. I know that is beautiful. That's why I do this lives. I do this
Yeah, I
live.
appreciate it, Nelson. By the way, what you're doing here is great. You're capturing the history of a sport. You're capturing so many different people and
I
their moments
asked,
in their life. So I really appreciate you reaching out to me, but to reaching out to everybody, it's totally needed.
you see my English. My English, I always tell guys, if you are out there and your English is better, do live streams with the riders, because that way is going to make propaganda for the companies,
Sure.
big companies, to reach to them. But if you don't do nothing, if you just do for the interest to make some clicks and make a couple dollars in, then you're going to go in a wrong direction. I have in Facebook now share in all the groups. Doesn't
Hmm.
matter for me. For me, the important thing, and I'm very sad that the guy who cannot speak so good English, and sometimes there is questions that is important to made, and my English is not so good. And if it was a guy who can speak good English and share this information for everybody out there, I think that is
Hmm.
going to help a lot.
I
Uh,
agree. Yeah, I think there could be more done on that end.
And I see some guys, I ask them, why do you stop with the live streams? Oh, because I don't have too much clicks. I said, I don't have too much clicks, but I have in Facebook in the 30 groups put it for everybody to see it. When I put it all together, doesn't care. For me, it's just for the people to say, okay, there's a company out there. Maybe I'm going to help the guys.
Yeah, totally. I think what you're doing is great. I think it's
No, we
not
are
really about
doing
the tip.
together, my friend. Come on, we are doing together. I always tell to everybody, I'm not doing nothing. I am a guy who speaks too much. I know, but sometimes I'm upset because I'm seeing my friends and people I know, people people I never speak before, and I learn with them, and
Mm,
I know how hard is that, and I don't see nobody just want to make a video to receive some clicks and forget about the important thing is the future.
mm.
Maybe the
Right.
future for them, because
Hmm.
then they're going to win with that, and it's very sad.
Mm.
And I hope that we can see better in the future. That is my that is
I
my
want that too.
reality. That's why I continue to do it. That's why sometimes I come from my work and I come here and make the live streams. I don't want to win nothing. I never ask nothing from nobody, and I just want the riders to have the best of their life, and I just want to go and ride with
Yeah.
you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
That is the
Appreciate that.
important thing. And I don't want to make this big. I just want to say you are big, my friend. And
No, thank you.
I can tell you the message I received from your friends, that they reach to me and they say, Nelson, this guy is like this guy is like that. Just positive energy, just good things from you, that you are one of the best riders we have. And
Thank you.
I
That
think
means a lot.
just seeing how much the community love you, my friend, and that is just impressive. That is just one thing. That's why I reached to you one time, two times, three times, and I tried to bring you here because I see that is lots of people who love you a lot, not just as a person, as a rider, and everything together. And I think that is important for all of us to have friends around us that can take care of you, and you have that.
I agree. Yeah,
You
it's
deserve
definitely
it.
goes beyond yourself. So I'm really grateful to be here and to be part of the community. And I love, helping people out when I can, where I can, and I do that through Intro to Speed. And I mean, it's just been a great opportunity all around. So to me, it just makes sense. Like what you're doing, you're dedicating your time and efforts, but it's just, sometimes it's just the right thing to do. It's
We have
not
to do it, my friend.
not about the clicks, like you're saying. It's just about doing the right thing.
Tomorrow, today I'm here, my friend. Tomorrow, maybe I don't know what is going to happen.
It's true,
Uh,
yeah.
and that the time I'm going to be here, I just want us to have positive and go live a better future for our friends, riders or future riders. To say, Paul, that is the right direction. We are going in. We are going to leave something special for everybody, and you are one of them. You are. This
Thank you.
box is too small, and we need a bigger box, a container of people who can do something for all of us. And
Well, I have
that
plans
is,
to do more, so this is just the start. So
my friend, I don't want to make no, we are close to 1 hour and
yeah,
30
yeah,
minutes.
we got to
First
get
of
going
all,
here.
yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming here. It was a pleasure to meet you. I hope to see you very soon. Like always, I tell to everybody the last words I leave to you, for your community, for the people who's going to see this video later on, for the people who are watching now. But hope everybody's in the groups from Facebooks. Leave the message to you. I'm going to leave all the links. The only link I don't have is from what he's trying to create, these gloves and everything, but I'm going to put it there. Just go there, give a nice like, support him. If you can follow him, and that way you're going to help this community to grow. And like always, I tell to you, my friend, please, the last words is for you and for the community around the world who follow you.
Thank you. I appreciate all that you're doing here, and thank you for recognizing me. Uh, that's a lot to unpack there, but just keep doing what you're doing. And anyone who's listening, I mean, at the end of the day, enjoy skating, enjoy riding whatever you're riding, and it's about the fulfillment that you get in yourself. So you can't forget about that.
Yes, my friend. I just want to say to everybody, ride like always. I tell to everybody, ride fast, but always safe. Enjoy life. Have a
Enjoy
good
life
time.
and
Bring your
keep your friends
friends.
close, and enjoy life with the community, because
Community is beautiful.
yeah.
Believe it. And if there is anything negative, be always positive. The positive is going to always win the negative. Just have good time,
Yep.
and you have good friends around you, my friend. You are. I have the pleasure to not to talk with him live, but I have the pleasure to have the interview, and they are amazing persons. They are the best of the best. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good
You.
night, good day. Enjoy it. See you
All
in the
right.
next live.